In today's video, I'm going to be discussing opening day of the general election, as it's a rematch between Trump and Biden, and they kicked it off with dueling rallies in Georgia. We've got a lot to talk about here in the video. Let's get into it and talk through the details. All right, everyone, are you ready for this? A rematch, and the next 7.5 months or so are going to be very interesting, very dramatic, and also very polarizing at the same time, as we generally do not see a rematch like what we're going to be seeing here this time. So between now and November, it's going to be a very, very interesting time to see what actually goes on here. And I want to talk through the dueling rallies that they had yesterday in Georgia and why this is such a contested state, as well as why it's going to be very important for both of them going forward, as well as who currently has the lead according to preliminary polls in Georgia as well. So let's talk through the details. However, really fast before we get into this, if you've not done so, make sure to subscribe down below. I'm going to continue focusing on this and covering all this over the coming months here. We'll continue to focus on the details here, and again, I'll break down all of this for you so you can stay posted on what's actually going on, and I'll bring you those updates here in these videos. So again, thanks for joining me. Please subscribe if you have not done so yet, and let's talk through the details about this. All right, so here's what's actually very interesting about this, and again, I want to bring this to your attention right away about this, which is we generally, with presidential elections, we typically do not see rematches like this, and we typically don't see the situations where we have an actual sample size from both of these guys, right? So to be fair, we had 4 years of Trump, obviously, we already know that, and to be fair, we've had 3 years of Biden. But my point is, the next year, or actually, it's been a little over 3 years of Biden, okay? So basically, between now and the next 1 year that he's, there, if, whatever happens in the next year or so, I don't know, but I'm just simply saying, we basically have a really good sample size of both of these guys. We basically know their beliefs, what they stand for, what they want, what they do for us, the American people, if they do anything or don't do anything at all, right? Again, so this what's very interesting about this is, at this point, do all of us maybe already have our minds a little bit set up as far as what we're going to be doing with the upcoming election? Now, again, I want to make it very clear. I'm not here to persuade anybody. I'm not here to influence anybody politically. That's not my style. I don't really care. Honestly, I don't really care what you believe politically. It doesn't really matter. It's not my business, okay? So I'm not going to sit here and be like, you should go for this one guy here. It doesn't really matter. You got to do what's best for you, right? But here's the thing. Going into this, it's actually very interesting because over the next 7.5 months or so, do they really need to spend much time campaigning? I mean, obviously they're going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's the thing. We already know basically everything we need to know about them, right, going forward. And again, maybe this isn't for everybody, but I think a lot of us already looked at the last, 4 years with Trump and say over 3 years with Biden, and we can kind of say, okay, this guy is probably the best fit for me and my situation. Now, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I just want to point this out. When it comes down to elections, obviously it's very controversial and things like that, right? Again, I'm not here to stir up the pot or anything like that, but I think a lot of us need to look at the big picture here as far as what do they do for us? At the end of the day, are they there to represent what? Us. At the end of the day, they're there to represent us as a country, us individually at the same time, right? So maybe we have to look at the values of these guys and say, okay, this guy has done this for me, or this guy has done jack for me, right? This person has done nothing, right? So as a whole, that's kind of where this whole situation comes in as far as what is in the best interest of us at the end of the day, right? Now, here's the thing. It's really interesting. With their dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia, they were both going back and forth, ripping on each other, and this guy believes in this, and this guy doesn't want this, and I've done this, and he's done that, and all this kind of stuff like this. Okay, I look at all this information, I think, okay, that's great, whatever. You can pat yourself on the back all you want, or you can rip the other guy apart and say, oh, he's done nothing, and he believes in this, and all this stuff like this. Okay, fine. But I guess at the end of the day, the big question remains, what are you doing for me? What are you doing for us? What are you doing for the country as a whole? I guess that's my big question at the end of the day. Every single time when I see these guys talking about all kinds of stuff, my big question always remains, what's in it for me? What's in it for us as a community? What's in it for us as a country, right? I don't know. Maybe I look at things a little bit differently, but I don't really care what somebody has done or said or points the finger at somebody else or accuses somebody else. I can read. I know how to do research. I can figure that out on my own. I don't need some guy to stand on a stage and tell me, what the other guy did or didn't do. I get it. I can figure all that stuff out myself, right? We've had years of these guys, and we can see personally what they did for us. Just look back over the last, call it, I don't know, 8 years or so, just call it, right? Okay, call it 7 years, a little over 7 years. We know what they've done or haven't done, right? So anyway, interesting, but let me talk about the details about Georgia really fast here, okay? So as of right now, Trump has about a 7-point lead ahead of Biden just in Georgia alone. So that's a pretty substantial lead. Now, again, it's not like the biggest lead in the world, but it is 7 percentage points, and that's actually quite a bit statistically, right? Now, at the same time, think of this. A number of years ago, when Biden won Georgia, he only won it by 12,000 votes. Now, here's the thing. 12,000 votes is still 12,000 votes, but he did win it by a pretty small margin if you look at it that way, right? So that's where we're at now. So again, a few years ago, Biden won it, by a slim margin, and now Trump is leading by about 7 points. So again, we'll have to see here. Obviously, these are not official final numbers here. These are just preliminary numbers right now based on what's going on in that state. And again, that's just Georgia. There's a lot of hotly contested states out there. Georgia is certainly one of them, but there's many more out there. And at the end of the day, it's probably not going to be right down to just Georgia to determine, at the end of the day, who the next president is going to be. But it's also going to be very influential, right? Obviously, they need all the votes they can get. Electoral college votes, things like this as well. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on here going forward. So at the end of the day, if either of these guys happen to watch this video, which I highly doubt they do, but if they happen to watch it, I guess what I'd rather see out of these guys is what's in it for us. What are you going to do for the next 4 years for us? Whoever it happens to be, I don't know. But one of these guys will be the person. Okay? I know, it's weird, right? Because a couple of years ago, we're like, oh man, this is pretty interesting, right? Remember a couple of years ago, it was very dramatic and it was honestly pretty entertaining at the same time. I mean, take politics out of it, it was entertaining. I mean, that's some good stuff right there, right? So either way, it's going to be very interesting to see these guys rip each other apart here and watch the dog fight. There you go. That's some good entertainment right there as well, right? But anyway, the dog fight unravel here to see what actually happens with these guys. But if they happen to come across this, what I'd like to really know is, what are you going to do for us? Seriously, rather than sitting here talking about and talking crap about each other, let's just focus on what are you going to do for us for the next 4 years, right? And again, one thing as well, I know a lot of you here in this community receive Social Security, fixed income benefits. Both of these guys are pretty much on the fence and saying they're really not going to touch it. Now, obviously, we do have some proposals and some four-pronged plan out of the president. He's saying, oh, I'm going to do this. Here's the thing. They can both talk about it, but unless lawmakers, Congress comes together and makes a solution for Social Security, these presidents are not going to do anything, right? Obviously, they're going to have the final signature on it, but it really comes down to Congress. That's really what it comes down to, okay? Now, obviously, they can give their endorsement and say, here's my plan to fix Social Security and things like this. But really what happens is it's lawmakers. Lawmakers really are the ones behind focusing on Social Security, okay? So any of these presidents or presidential candidates that come out and say, we're going to do this to Social Security, okay, fine. You better be able to convince all the lawmakers, or at least the majority of them, the vast majority of them, to go along with your plan then too, because it's not really up to the president, it's up to lawmakers. They are the ones who have power of the purse, as it's called, right? They have the power of the money, and they have the power to do this. The president just signs it into law. That's it, a little signature, right? So anyway, it's going to be very interesting over the next couple months here. I'm going to continue covering it, on a relatively regular basis. Maybe not every day, but again, I'll bring you the details as I get it. So anyway, this is what I know as of now. Interesting, and we'll continue to watch this one. Either way, if you've not done so, again, please subscribe down below. Totally free to do so. Share the video with your friends, send me social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel, including those I've hand-selected for you down below in the description or at the top of the comment section, or the ones that you see on your screen now. Enjoy your day. Take care. Have a good one, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.